So I started answering these questions in the comments, but there's only 160 characters and I feel like it doesn't do it justice. So I've definitely told this before, so it's not new. I have a playlist called New Here. You can just listen to all the videos. There's like 30 something videos in there. So get a snack, get some juice, and you can sit down and listen to it. But so if you remember, I said there was a joint email account. I was made to have, first of all, everything that pretty much played out in my divorce to Anthony was handled by the boss, Huxley's dad. Like do this, say this, do this, say this, all that. Okay. So when Anthony and I got divorced, we had, Anthony was going to be living in Virginia. He was moving back to Virginia. We were in Maryland though. That's where we were married. But he was going to be moving back to Virginia. So the custody, schedule that we had agreed on was, Anthony was going to have Penelope for one weekend a month. I had offered him more, but because of the fact that he was going to be in another state and, he was going to be working or whatever, it wasn't something that he was able to commit to. So he was going to have her 1 weekend a month, and it wasn't like a set second weekend, third weekend. He was going to tell me like what weekend he was available based on what his work schedule was. And then as long as I had 30 days notice, I could make that date work, or I would offer him an alternative date. So we did that for a little while because we got divorced. I think our divorce was final in August of 2011. So Penelope would have been almost 2. So we did that for I want to say about a year. He would email me. I would say, hey, that date doesn't work, but these are some dates these are some other dates, blah, blah, blah. Then there was, the Huxley's dad. Huxley wasn't born at the time, but Huxley's dad made me have this joint email account with him, and he wanted all the communication to go through there because he was going to help keep me safe and protect me, and he was going to help document it and keep track of everything. And because, we were going to get married and we needed to be together. And it was really because one of the biggest issues in our relationship was always, he just wanted to be in all my business. So I have to send Anthony this email telling him, hey, this is where you will contact me at, to further arrange this stuff or whatever. Because Huxley's dad was like getting upset because Anthony and I would be talking back and forth through email, like trying to figure out dates. Sometimes we would like argue about stuff. Anthony was able to call her. And like Huxley's dad never wanted Anthony to be able to call Penelope and stuff like that. So it ends up happening where once I give him this joint email address that we're both supposed to have access to, it was like his name, my name, what our last name was going to be together. And then Anthony, I didn't know this, but Anthony had been sending emails to this email account, but I never saw them. So around the time she was like 3, I stopped getting emails and I thought he didn't want to see her anymore. But it coincidentally happened around the same time that one of the times Penelope went to go see Anthony, Huxley's dad like got her this bear, this like leapfrog bear, and like cut it open in the back and put a recorder in the side and said that we needed to record what was going to be happening. Anthony, of course, found it like immediately. And it was so funny because Huxley's dad was like so mad about it. When Anthony brought her back, he was like, oh, her bear got broke. So we got her a new bear, and it was a bear in a box. And I was just like, the whole thing was just ridiculous. But obviously he was trying, and that's how I like knew from the beginning that he would be trying to record everything. But that was like one of the last times that he saw her, around the time she was like 3. So this whole time I'm thinking that he didn't want to see her, like he wasn't contacting me or whatever. And I actually started getting really nervous about it after a couple of years. 'Cause I'm like, what am I going to do if he ever contacts me? Like she wouldn't have known who he was. Like if she saw a picture of him, I wasn't allowed to have any pictures of him, like anything. That's why any of the pictures that I have from us like childhood, they're pictures that Anthony had or like one of our family members had or something like that. 'Cause I had to get rid of all of it. So once we finally reconnected, like we got into a heated argument, and it came up like about the situation about him not seeing Penelope. And, I'm like, you didn't even, try to see her or whatever. And he was like, bullshit. Yes, I did. Like I tried. And he was like walking around with this resentment towards me because he's thinking I'm trying to see my daughter and this woman's not letting me. And I'm like, no, you didn't. Like, F you, like you're a liar, blah, blah, blah. He pulls out his phone and pulls up his sent messages to the email address. And I see message after message after message after message. So he was sending the emails. Where the emails went, I have no idea, but I never saw them. What I did find out though, is that on Gmail, you can put in certain filters that like, if an email comes from this person, it will automatically delete it. Like it won't even make it to the inbox. It just deletes it. So that's what I think was going on because I never saw these emails. Obviously people are all like, oh, well, he could have done this and he could have done that. Anthony and I were kids when we divorced. And he's thinking, okay, if I go back to court with Abby because she's not letting me see my daughter and she's not responding to these emails, he's thinking he's not just going up against me. He's going up against this old man who, you know, is old enough to be both of our dads. And I think that, and from what he said, that he had a lot of fear surrounding that. Does he regret it? Absolutely, yes. But one of the things that I think is so cool is just being able to see God's hand in this whole situation is that when Penelope and Anthony finally do see each other, it was December of 2021. I think it was like December 8th. When they finally see each other, it is literally, you would never know that they weren't with each other for 12 years. But he continuously paid his child support. He's off of child support now. I've taken him off of child support. That took us like a year and cost $15,000 to take him off of child support. Absolutely ridiculous. But you would never know that they had this break in their relationship. She immediately started calling him dad. She immediately started saying that she loved him. And that was just something that I prayed for, the entire time. Hindsight, I wish that I would have done more investigating, but I also had I had this resentment. And then I also had this grown man that was telling me basically that my daughter had been abandoned and not to beg anyone, to be her dad. And I don't know that I would have seen it as begging, but I wish that I would have reached out. I take full responsibility for it. I wish that I would have known, but I never thought that someone would do that, would take someone's father away from them. And why would you want to let this little girl believe that her dad didn't want anything to do with her? And that's basically what he did. So, we've worked through that. It's something that we've talked about in therapy and all of that. He's forgiven me for that. I've forgiven him. Penelope has forgiven him, but it's really cool to see their relationship now. So he did not get to see her over that time. Last time he saw her, she was about 3 years old. Like I said, he consistently paid child support on a weekly basis. And he just said that basically he was working as hard as he was, saving up all this money because he was planning to take me back to court. And then once he got the money to take me back to court, he had seen a picture of Penelope, us in a family picture. And Anthony was raised by his stepdad. Even though it wasn't a good situation, he felt like he didn't want to come in and ruin this little girl's life. And so while I don't think I would have made the same decisions, just like I haven't made great decisions, I don't think that Anthony has made the best decisions. As a mom, if you didn't respond to my emails, I'm going to show up at your house. But I also understand his fear of not wanting to be rejected and also his fear of who he was going to be going up against. He wasn't just going to be going up against me. He was going to basically be going up against the same thing that I'm going up against right now, in court. And so I'm grateful that we didn't end up in a situation where we were fighting it out in court, and we somehow, that relationship was preserved. It's not the best situation. And obviously if we could redo things, I think we would both do things differently. But we were kids. And I think we both acted like it, but now they have an amazing relationship, and yeah.